You're listening to the Roofing Success Podcast, a show created to inspire roofing contractors to achieve optimal success in their roofing businesses. I'm the host, Jim Moline, the co-author of the book, Internet Marketing for Roofing Contractors, How to Triple Your Sales and Turn Your Roofing Website into an Online Lead Generation Machine. I'm also the co-founder of Roofer Marketers, the digital marketing agency for the roofing industry. On each episode, I'll be sitting down with industry leaders to talk about their processes, the lessons they've learned, and how to find success in roofing. Hey, welcome to another episode of the Roofing Success Podcast. As always, please follow us. Please share, please comment, please leave us a review, subscribe, all of those things. If you want to take the conversation beyond the podcast, please go to Facebook, type in Roofing Success, and join the Roofing Success Facebook group. We love having conversations with successful roofing contractors, as you guys know. So another one. It's amazing how many contractors have found success out there, right? And that's what this show is all about. But this is someone that we've been trying to get on the show for a while, and we've been hit and miss for a while. But Martin Pettigrew from Monarch Roofing, the Carolina coast, I would say, is your stomping grounds, right?
Yes. Hey, great to be here with you, Jim. And you're right, man. It's been a long time coming. I've seen your podcast and all your marketing online. You guys are doing a great thing. And the beautiful thing about what you do is you're trying to help other contractors becoming better. So you're very humble, and it's great to have people like you in our industry. Very blessed. Yes, we have 3 locations: Wilmington, North Carolina, Hilton Head Island, and Myrtle Beach, South Carolina, all on the coast.
All right. So Martin, you're an immigrant to the United States, right? From Canada. How did you, I know your story a little bit, but tell your story to the audience a little bit for those that don't know, how you got started in roofing.
Okay, very good. In the immigrant thing, it's Canada is not so far off. There's not like it's a bad thing. I heard Gary Vee talk about this before. He said that's the biggest gift he had, is be from another country where he saw like a little bit more misery. So when you come here, you're embracing every little thing that happens. You can see a positive. So it seems like there's a hunger, or it's a privilege to be from another country. So I'm from the French part of Canada, so it's not that big of a difference, but it helped me and everybody we hire somehow. Seems like a little bit of difference to people who traveled. I'll tell you, that makes a big difference, so we can see that they have a different way to look at things, and they have a different hunger. But I remember one of the first roof that I've been to for a sales call was a roof leak, and the owner wanted a whole new roof proposal. And I remember talking to myself, I was driving my Cadillac car. That's a long time ago. It was about 14 years ago. I'm driving my Cadillac. I parked far away, a couple blocks down the road. So I didn't want them to see that I was driving a car, because there's not a roofing contractor that does not have a truck, right? So I had a lot of things against me, but I knew from my college background, I could do a presentation that was professional. So I had a folder, referrals, a little folder that looked very like what the way it should have been. So, but before I left my car to go speak with those homeowner, I said, I hope that in the next 10 minutes, the 20 minutes I'm going to be here, the homeowner will understand my language, because I'm speaking French, I got an accent. I said, but it doesn't really matter my accent. It's really, they got to understand that I am the solution for their problems, because I truly believe that deep down, that if somebody else does the roof, and that goes across the company till this day, if somebody else does the roof, it's going to be the service for the homeowner. They're not going to get what they deserve the best. So every time I meet somebody, a homeowner, in every salesman, project manager, they have the mentality. But it went very well, but it's always to take that back. I'll never take it for granted, because I feel like I'm -1 because I don't speak English as well as others.
Yeah, so that's always something, right? We all a lot of times we internalize these things that don't matter, right? Especially when you're doing the right thing, right? And so was that as when you started you started in roofing sales? Is that what it was?
Really
for another company, or before you were open Monarch, correct?
Okay, so before that, I play golf. So to
Oh
answer
yeah.
your previous question a little bit, we'll go back. I was really good at golf, and then I got a scholarship to play golf in college in Pennsylvania. I didn't know English, so I had to do 1 year as an exchange student to learn English. So I went to college. It was a lot of learning experience. But I moved to Myrtle Beach after that. Played 4 years of golf and graduated in Myrtle Beach. My goal was to keep going and play golf and to grow into this industry. But I was making $6.90 an hour working at a pro shop, so I had to get a second job. I started working at a club, parking cars, and that's where the eye opener was, Jim. I was parking cars. I was 26, 25, 26, and people that was parking their vehicle, they would have a nice trucks, F-350 diesel with the screens. Back 15 years ago, there was no screens in your truck. So yeah, the rims, they were doing very well. They would give me $20, $30, $40 to park their cars, right around, very, very close. And they would party all night till 3, 2, 3, 4 in the morning. I was like, how are they a contractor? I don't know anything about construction, but I'm like, how are they a contractor partying all night and getting up at 6 in the morning to go work? Because I know contractors work from rise to sunset. I'm like, there's no way they're doing it. So I started hanging out with these guys and asked them, I said, why, how, about a million questions, I said, how are you so successful? And they were all my age, it's like, they were my dream. Like, you guys are partying, you have the lifestyle, you're financially wealthy. But they said, Martin, if we get a job and we don't do well, it doesn't really matter, because we'll go to the next contractor and we'll get jobs there. There was 2007, so there's not enough contractor out there. So they were taking advantage of the system, of the environment they were in. But that was my first thing. I'm like, all right, this is wrong. We need to be crusading people that are not doing the right thing for homeowners. That's a duty. As I felt like, as a human, I had to do something about it. And that there was a void in the environment. So we got to there was a void, so we had to fill it. And that's when I started doing construction and being passionate about helping others, really.
Yeah. So you saw other contractors, and then you heard them tell stories about how they weren't taking care of their customers, really, right? Like how they were, and they didn't care. They were making money. The market was great back then. The building was booming. That was pre 2008, right? Pre crash. But being, the other thing that I heard in that is that you were inquisitive. And I think that that's a big thing in entrepreneurship. When in being a business owner, a lot of times the best business owners are good at asking questions and finding answers. How has that helped you along your business? Do you think that has been, is that something that's a trait of yours, that you're very inquisitive?
Yeah, it's hard to talk about it oneself a little bit, so you'll have to hang out with me a little bit. But I feel like that's a big trait for sure. To understand and to find one thing that I would wish I would have done a little bit differently. Maybe it's a little bit like you're saying. I would do a lot myself to learn it. Okay, so I didn't know about construction, so I would go to job sites. I would see the job box, the white box. I would open it, see who the contractor was, and call them. And my speech or my pitch was terrible. I was like, "Hey, Mr. Contractor, my name is Martin. I can help you with your project. It looks like you need some concrete. I can do concrete. I can do roofing. I can do drywall. I can do siding. I can do windows. I didn't know I didn't even know what I meant. So it was terrible. I was not specifically focusing on one thing that came a long ways after. But I think I wish I would have had a little bit more mentorship in the beginning. And there's a lot of companies out there right now that do that. So if you have an opportunity, internet is definitely powerful. But companies like your podcast, listening to your podcast, can learn a lot. That might have been something that would have been better. But I was doing it myself, so I would put myself through it. Doesn't matter. I want to know about metal roofs, how to price metal roof. The first metal roof we did, Jim, we lost. It was a $33,000 job. Okay, I'm so excited. It's like the first year. I'm like, 33,000. I've never seen that much money in my life. Like, this is crazy. I'm used to make $6.90 an hour. That's more I would make with that one job than I made a whole year. So I'm super excited. We finished the job. It cost $38,000 to do the work, the project. Like, oh my gosh, this is a disaster. So no overhead, included, no my time and gas. It was strictly material and labor. So it was a big lesson learned. But at that moment, forever, Jim, I knew how to price metal roof. So when I did my metal roof estimates from that point on, I understood that what material could cost, where I made my mistake, the labor, profit, and overhead. So I was able to, from that point, we were able to adapt and do better in the future. But it's not really recommended for a lot of new business. I was 26. I was living in my buddy's house, so it was a one bedroom, $400, $450 a month. So I didn't really have much expenses working at night. So it didn't really matter the money. I really wanted to learn.
Yeah. And so that's part of it, right? There's all these lessons along the way. And you could have, at that time, you could have said, man, I lost $5,000 here. I'm going back to golf, being a golf pro and parking cars, right? Like this is too crazy. But you didn't. You went, wow, now I know how to price a metal roof properly, right? And so it's a tough thing sometimes, but I don't like to say there's not losses, right? These are all lessons that you learn along the way. And I like what you said too. When you first getting started, you would go to these job sites and stuff, and you just wanted to be you knew contracting was what you wanted to do. So concrete, whatever it was, you're calling these people just hustling, trying to get business and start a business. Being in your early mid 20s, man, sometimes it's better to not know.
Agree.
Right? Like, do you think that you would have, and I know you said that you would have sought out mentorship or something instead of some of those lessons along the way to avoid them, but how do you feel about, like, as we get older and we kind of learn more things, sometimes we won't just go for it the way that we would back then, right? And you did say, your rent is low, you don't have, there's a lot of things that are helpful in your 20s that let you just go for it. But what do you think nowadays? You still go for it. I mean, you're on your third location, right? You're still going for it. How does that, how have you maintained that in your life?
Great question. And I think the whole point of your question is, how do you stay like disciplined or motivated to keep going, to do different things, and the ability to try and fail, that's a gift, So I love what you're saying, try and fail. If you have a mentor that can, you retain about less than 30% of things you hear. So I can tell you, hey, that's how you're going to do it. That's how you're going to do it. But if I do it, or I do it with you, or we do it together, you're going to retain 75% of the information. That's so powerful. So to find a mentor that can do it with you, that's key. That's what we're trying to do with our company, really hands-on with our management leadership. So mentorship it's a big word, if you to learn, you have to do it yourself. But I think, and I got asked this a couple of weeks ago about one of our employees, like, Martin, why, like, I want to start my own business because my goal is to have my house on the river and have the white picket fence, and I want freedom. So I want to be autonomy. I have autonomy for my life. And when I'm listening to this, I'm like, this is crazy, because and then again, it doesn't have to be like this. I'm just a little bit maybe very passionate about what I do, but I took 4 days for my honeymoon, and I took 2 weeks to go to Canada one time. So that's all I took in 14 years. I take some days off sometimes here and there, but there's not like a 1 week I'm gone, or 2 weeks. If you own your business and you start your business, that's it. I want to say it's a little bit of a slave for a few years, but really it is. You're working. If you do production, if you wear all the hats, you have a problem, somebody's going to call you, you have to find a solution, right? So you cannot be passionate about money. And that's what you're saying. Like, okay, like, what, you make money, and I understand you need to if your business plan makes no money, you change your business. Okay. You're probably the wrong thing. So you cannot make money with it. We did drywall, we did framing in the beginning. It did not work. It was too much time. So we didn't do that. But if money is your power, your motivator, your motivator, doesn't work, because what happens when you make money? You stop, right?
Stop.
So you started building business. This guy was saying like, I want to have my business smart, not crazy like yours. I want to do 3, 4, 5 million, and I want to control everything. And then I want to take time off when I can. I want a big house. So what happens when you have employees, right? So your employees, you have 5, 6, 7, maybe 10 employees there. You might have a salesman, office staff, definitely some superintendents, some repair installers. These guys at one time, Jim, they're gonna come to you and says, "Hey, I want more money."
Yeah.
So what happens? Are you going to be able to give them more money? They're going to want more money, more money, more money. Are you going to raise your price? Yeah, you can raise your price. Your reputation better be better, but you're going to raise your price, and then you're not going to be as good anymore than the other guys that are hungrier. They're going to come in and take your work. So growth is essential. If you're based on money, you stop. It doesn't work. You got to keep growing. So when we go from 6 million to 8 million, there's an opportunity for that leader to go from, let's say, 60,000 to 70,000, because he's going to be responsible for other people, right? So it's a little bit of, I don't believe in that myth that they say like, all right, let's build a $3, $4 million and I'm just going to stop there. I don't think you can keep it going for a long time. And I think that's where, if you focus on money, that's where you're going to fail. It's going to stop. There's an end game there.
That's interesting. And I think the other funny part about that is when people talk about money, right? When they focus on money, most of the time they're focused on freedom. You had mentioned it in there. They want the house, the nice house that they could go to. They want the autonomy to take time off, take a trip with their family, right? They want these things. They want freedom instead of money, but they chase the money, right? And in a business, you can't, right? I mean, it makes the why can't be money in your business. I fully agree with you, because if the why is only money, when things get difficult, you give up, man. Like you go and try something else to find that money. Where when things get difficult, when you have a different purpose for your business, that's what you rethink things, you restructure, you power through, and that's where real leadership comes from, I think, right? Is that you've had to restructure, right? Now you're to 3 locations. So let's talk about that a little bit in the challenges of owning a multi-location business, because from Wilmington to Hilton Head, is Myrtle in between Wilmington and Hilton Head, or is it, right?
You're right.
So up and down the coast there, what's the distance in drive time from your northernmost office to your southernmost office?
About 5.5 hours between the two. In Myrtle Beach, we're an hour and a half from Wilmington, and about 4 hours to Hilton Head.
Yeah. So you have like there's challenges in opening these offices, and then the other part of it is, like you had mentioned, when you're a business owner, you don't get the time off. You're always working. And it's unfortunate to say sometimes, but even when you're at dinner with family, you're working in your head, or you know what I mean? Like it's very difficult to completely unplug. You don't get the freedom of clocking out at 5 o'clock and forgetting about everything until 9 o'clock. It just doesn't work that way. So as you started to grow Monarch and open more offices, first, what was the motivation to expand into more locations?
Okay, so the passion, the one thing that we have is to help our customers get what they deserve, the best. So my goal is to touch as many homeowners as possible so they get the best roofing system possible. So the many locations was definitely in the plan for a long time. We just didn't know the timing, and there's never a good timing. So when it happened, we happened to open both locations at one time. So it was just a call. We got an opportunity. You talk about opportunity, capitalize on it. There was a roof that was leaking in Hilton Head, and the director of claims for this insurance company called us, says, "Mark, do you mind going to see this roof? Because I got 2 adjusters that went there. They both failed it. It didn't work. There was a claim a year later after the hurricane came through. There's a lot of water damage." So I went down, said, "Do you want me to drive 4 hours to go look at a roof and come back? That's 8 hours." So Yes, convinced my wife over a weekend and say, honey, you want to go to Hilton Head this weekend? It'd be, a lot of
Oh,
fun.
there you go.
Yeah. So she's like, why you bring your ladder? I'm like, well. So we did the roof inspection on Saturday. So yes, but it was a eye opener because so we got the claim, it went through, and then they approved the roof. We signed the contract. We started doing the job. So I can send my project manager or down there. I'm like, I don't want to waste anybody's time. They can do sales here in Myrtle Beach. So I'm going to go with the crew to produce it. So we have at that point probably $18 million business. Okay, there. And I'm like, I'm going to leave that behind. You guys can figure it out for a week. I'm going to go to Hilton Head and work there. So the crazy like momentum opportunity, we started on mailers, just little things, little mailers. And in that week, Jim, I sold 3 roofs. I'm like, what's going on in this place? This is crazy. Yeah. So I'm like, all right, guys, by the way, guys, we're not going back to Myrtle Beach. We're going to stay here another week. So we stay in a hotel. So, all right, we'll stay another week, and then we keep selling and selling, keep going, keep growing, keep growing. We have to have, new software, just prepare for Hilton Head. And a couple months later, we end up opening a business there and then have an office. So kind of not planned that properly. We just jump on the opportunity and went for it. Like you talk about, like, just go for it, see what happens. We always wanted to do it. Now there's opportunity, and there was a little bit like everywhere. It seems like there's a shortage of good contractors. So we filled that gap there in Hilton Head. That was the first step for it. But
so you went down there because an insurance company said, "Hey, we know you do quality work. We need your help down here." And so what happened was, the opportunity was that there was a lack of quality contractors in the area, I'm assuming, and then all of a sudden, boom, now you're down in Hilton Head. What happens with the different locations? Because you didn't have as you said, it just kind of popped up and began from kind of organically. So you didn't. I assume that you didn't have a plan in place for managing all of these locations at the same time. How did that go for you?
It was like mission impossible, Jim. It was really, really hard. And having a business at one location, full-time, dedicated, it's already hard enough. But by the 3 location through the year, I was going down to Hilton Head a few days a week. And then the biggest challenge, and I think that's the biggest challenge we realized for even Myrtle Beach when we was here, or other location, or even other roofing contractor, it created 2 big problems. Hiring was really difficult because you're doing it part-time, and training. That's the biggest 2 items that we had to solve to make those locations possible. So I went there for about 8 months. We moved one of our managers down there to Hilton Head from Wilmington, not trained properly as well. So, but at that moment, it was a magical moment. Okay, March, we started in March, and then a year later in March, I was out of all location and was able to get a leader for all 3 locations, a general manager.
Yeah.
So from March to September, that whole time, I don't have a job now. I'm totally a CEO. I got 3 general manager. I could have done whatever I want. I really feel like I made it at that point. But the key was, I went back and I wrote every single procedure that we had and organized it with the help of Fady and Rob, the 2 leader in here in Myrtle Beach, and created on internet, online, and we created the machine. So that helped tremendously, because now I could have a system to be duplicable. Yeah. But process and procedure was critical. So I went back to Hilton Head with this in mind and the plan in mind for the structure of the business, what we should hire at 1 million, 3 million, 5 million as we grow, and how to do it, what kind of personality we need for each position. So we started again. So I had to let go of a lot of people. Jimmy, you were talking about this. We had to let go of a lot of people in Hilton Head, and it was bad. Let go people quit because the motion, the culture was not there. It was not the right mindset. It was so bad that we didn't have anybody in the office. I had to pay the lady next door, which is a haircut place. I was giving her $50 a week to get my mail, because we were getting box all the time for UPS, for the office stuff. So I gave her $50 so she could get my mail. And every time she saw me, Martin, I'm tired of your damn box, because it was full of the entry. but it was so we had to rebuild. But the rebuild, we build it according to, call it the machine. Okay, it's I would say like a new way or a revolutionary way to do business, to maximize every opportunity, and to create leads through referral. So it's been very, very impactful. That was the first step in the hiring and the training. We hired 2 now recruiters. It's been working out so well that all they do is recruiting. All they do all day is Zoom, like we're doing right now. They do Zoom interview every 10 minutes for hours at a time for all 3 locations. And the training, we started another company, which is called Riva. And then we were able to get a sales trainer for inside position, outside position, that in management position as well. That made a big impact. So when we have new people, they can come in to Myrtle Beach to the training process. They spend 2 weeks with a trainer so they can understand products we sell, how we go through our process, and how to connect with people, with homeowners. So that was a major, major improvement.
So what happened? So let me just to recap it. So you opened the Wilmington location. What brought you to Wilmington? Was it the hurricane back then, or what brought you to Wilmington at about the same time as Hilton Head?
Okay, so the hurricane actually happened that fall, so it was kind of good. We started like in March in Wilmington.
Okay.
And then it was kind of, we got lucky a little bit. But one of our best project manager, Mike, he moved to Wilmington. He's a big, it's kind of crazy, but he's a big fan of playing hockey, and there's no rink in Myrtle Beach. He was going to Wilmington all the time. So he decided to move up there. Great guy. So with this in mind, we're like, all right, let's just start a business there with you, and let's get Wilmington going. So he was really the reason why we got an opportunity to go in Wilmington.
Yeah. And so you felt he is a quality employee. We don't want to lose him.
That's right.
But now, because he's good at what he does, there's another opportunity, right? So that's awesome. So then so that way was an employee moved to Wilmington. So you were going to build around that employee. The other way was a referral essentially turned into an opportunity because of other business started coming in down there. You got these general managers in place. You got to spend time on working on your business versus in your business. Correct. It's a challenging thing to do, right? The amount of trust that you have to put in those general managers to step back and do all of those things and put the machine in place, right? But once you put the machine in place, now you have it, right? Now this is duplicatable. Is that so? Yep. What I heard from you, a couple of things, right? So the first thing was you went down to Hilton Head and you had to restructure a lot. There was a lot of employment changes and things like that down there. When you were putting the machine together, did you work on things like core values?
Yes, we have the culture is very important. So I like that you mentioned that for sure. The machine made it simplified way to look at our business into, like the biggest thing about the machine. Let's say we'll take a salesman, for example. So typical companies, and everybody does a little bit differently, but let's say the worst, I'll say structure will be the salesman wears a lot of hats. So the salesman will do the estimate, we'll do the inspection, we'll do paperwork, we'll do production, we'll go to bring materials if we're short materials, dump the trailers. So they're focusing, they should be in marketing they should be focusing in sales. So 80% of their time should be in sales. It's very, very hard. Like the statistic I saw online, it said 90% of the activity of a salesman is actually not selling. It should be the opposite, right? That would make sense. And one of the biggest thing we are going through, and I'm sure a lot of contractors do, it's shortage of quality people, right? Shortage of salesmen. It's so hard to find salesmen. So by doing more recruiting, hiring was great, but we also changed the system. So instead of looking to hire more salesmen, we decided to get it more efficient. So if you increase the efficiency of the salesman, which is a very difficult position to fill, well, let's make sure that they do sales activities. So we divided all the activities that were outside and inside. So there's an inside sales that they work together as one team. to maximize every sale. So we have our CRM is very advanced. There's a lot of templates for text message, email, follow-up calls. It's already established what their steps are for every opportunity to maximize the opportunity. So the salesman can be with homeowners, not on the phone trying to contact adjusters or bring in samples to homeowner or on the phone for about questions that somebody else could be answering. So the inside person can schedule the appointment, make sure that the folders are ready, follow up with customers. So much, Jim, that we have a lot of times that homeowners are more comfortable with the person inside that they never really met than the outside person. Because the outside person comes in, inspect the roof, presents, they talk a lot more to the inside person.
Yeah, that's an interesting concept. A lot of times contractors, a sales position in a roofing company it includes all of that, but then sometimes it also includes some management of the production too. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
So there's a lot going on. I love the way that you've structured that. I'm a big fan of it, of that type of a sales system too, where the salesman is put in a place to sell. They don't worry about anything up until the appointment, right? And then the appointment, the inspection, the close, and then now when that gets handed off and they're able to go to the next appointment and do the same thing and replicate what they're doing, they get so good at that one thing, right? And then you have their support. A lot of salespeople are not good at the details.
True.
Right. And so the ball can get dropped in a lot of places. So that's an amazing thing that you did. So so does the inside salesperson take it from initial phone call or initial lead and does the appointment set and then gathers the information that the salesperson will need? And then here, you have everything ready for you. Go to 123 Main Street, talk to Bob and Judy. Is that kind of?
Yeah. Yep. And they send, it's yes, awesome. You described it very well. So in inside sales, they will send a confirmation of the appointment. Let's say we're going to meet you tomorrow at 12 o'clock. They send a video, what to expect. So there's the salesman. We have a videographer now, which is awesome. Does a video of what the homeowner can expect. They see our salesman. They see a picture of the salesman. Also a text message that's automatically sent to the homeowner to introduce themselves as an inside sales and why they would contact that person instead of the outside salesman. And break it down, even like the estimating. They don't do any estimate. Estimating is done by our estimators. So if there's any change to be done on the estimate, salesman can provide information, but they really only go to do a report on the roof and present to the homeowner what the solution is for the roof and issues.
Yeah.
In creating this, Jim, it's been really, really mind blowing because a lot of people talk about culture. How do you create culture, excitement? There's a lot of things. It's a word that's widely used right now, but by doing this, create a better system. So the outside sales and inside sales, they're starting to work as a team now. Yeah. So they want each other to be successful, to sell. So they push each other in a good way. So automatically the culture is created to be positive, to sell the job, because that's why they're there, right? They love to help homeowner get what they deserve, the best roofing system possible, or to solve their problems. So if they're passionate about this, we got to get people that are passionate about this. Now they're fulfilled when they win, when they sell. So they get excited together. So it's been helping us quite a bit instead of, like you probably, a lot of companies have a salesman. It's a very important point here. Okay, so sorry, I keep talking, but they think salesmen should be autonomy, right? Autonomy in sales. Like salesmen, they're different. We sell them whatever they want to do. They'll go in places, but production needs to be structured, and then marketing needs to be structured. I think it's something that we change over time. We've got rid of commissions, no more commission, because for example, if you go to the mall, okay, or think about Ray Kroc back then with McDonald's, great example, okay. He would go to city to city to city, make phone calls, stop by, write in notes, meet a restaurant owner, trying to get business. It was all on him to do the sales. That person is responsible for marketing, sales, pushing to get through and get a sales done. So there's a lot that's more autonomy. Commission, maybe that makes sense. Okay. In our system, the salesman is becoming a part of the puzzle, not on a pedestal anymore, because the inside sales and outside sales and marketing are responsible to get leads to the salesman, right? Then when we have the lead together, those two, if you want a high performer, you want to sell, we have salesmen that are on path to do 6 million this year. This is crazy, right? We had 5 million before, we have 5, they're on path to do 6 million. How is this possible? They can't do it by themselves. It's impossible. So the salesmen are responsible to maximize the opportunity, but it comes in inside, outside, they work together really hard to do the sales. And then the production, they're responsible to produce a job properly, and also to create and ask for, like you mentioned, Google leads, Google reviews, and create promoters at that point. So they can turn 1 through door knocking, 1 becomes 3 at that point. So when the salesmen go meet the homeowner, they're not a lead from a billboard, or postcards at a really low, like 10% closing rates. We can get 70% closing rates because we can use the homeowner as a referral to say, like, hey, we're doing Mr. Jim's roof across the street. That's creating a referral. Even in door knocking, as long as it's not just cold call, you have a project going on. So production plays a big role into creating referrals that are easy to close in.
Yeah, the most successful companies that I talk to and that we work with that are clients of ours in our agency are the ones that do that well, the ones that turn one into many. And that is it's amazing how much of those sales are made or started on production day or around the production process, right? The letting the neighbors know that you're going to be building a roof on Thursday. Reach out to us if you need any, if anything gets in your yard, we're here to make sure that we, take care of your neighborhood. Hey, do you need an inspection yourself? Right. And that simple process of building what you're calling referrals, but, just building off of that one, turning that one into many, that process is what, if you are a roofing contractor and you are not doing that, that's what you're missing, right? That's what turns a $1 million business into 3, right? Just in focusing on that in those neighborhoods, I think.
Jim, it's hard, man, because when you're like any size company, but you are like, all right, can we afford to have a superintendent? Can we afford anything? It's always a question. The owner, like, man, I gotta watch my dollars too. Can we afford a superintendent on a job? You can definitely afford it. It's actually costing you money if you don't have a superintendent on a job, even though it's like cost upfront. Like you just mentioned, if they go introduce themselves to the neighbors across, very simple business card, give them a coupon for a free pizza or something, give him something so they can give back to you, give you a free inspection, say, I'm Martin, I'm going to be doing a job across the street from Mr. Jim here. Do you know Mr. Jim? They're going to say yes or no. It doesn't really matter. Talk to them. I'm going to be really bored here for the next two days. So I'll spend 15 minutes. If you don't mind, I'll come on the roof and I'll show you a picture of your roof inspection. I'll just show it to you, but I'm telling you, these guys are going to beat me up. So that makes it a lot easier instead of, like feeling bad about being there. Of course, about the trash, I'm going to be loud. It's definitely a icebreaker, but if you have a good heart, you really want to help people, they'll feel it right away. It's not about, hey, I want to sell your roof, right? So
what I'm hearing though is you have 3 salespeople. You have your inside salesperson, you have your salesperson, and then you have your superintendent that's selling also. But how much selling does that superintendent do when they're knocking those doors? Do they then hand that off back to the salesperson or back to inside sales to take the process from there? How do you do that? So now, okay, lead comes in. Inside sales takes it, sets an appointment, sets the home visit, salesperson goes out, closes that, production is scheduled, production day, superintendent is out there door knocking. when they get a lead and the person says, oh yes, I have, yeah, go ahead, do the inspection. They do the inspection, they find damage or something on the roof. Where does it go from there? Does it loop back into inside sales, or does it go back to the salesperson? How does that loop get closed?
Yeah, loop, and that is a really hot lead at that point. If there's damage or problems on the roof, and you, like you said, the superintendent. First of all, the superintendent, their number one thing, the one thing you talk about is flawless installation. So they got to make sure that the customer we own now, it's flawless. We order extra materials on jobs to make sure that they don't have to go to the supplier house. They can really stay there the whole time. So once that is understood, go door knocking, like you mentioned. Yeah, the lead goes to the inside sales. The superintendent will wire the roof, will do the inspection, and the salesman will come out to do it with them. Or they're going to be, if there's no damage, your roof looks good, don't waste your time, salesman. Stay at your other. And again, unless you don't, if the salesman's not busy, we actually have a lot of salesmen go with the superintendent to do door knocking. So it makes it easier. Two people, it makes the conversation a little easier, it seems like. But you're right. As soon as we get it, it's a hot lead. Now we consider it a referral. I know it's not perfectly a referral, but your neighbor trusted Monarch Roofing, so you're probably going to trust us, right? So it makes it easy.
For sure. I love that and it everything is working in conjunction. So it's the machine, as you talked about, as you've named it, right? The machine. And then leads coming in through referrals you'd mentioned earlier is your goal. Your goal is leads coming in through referrals. So I would assume those are direct referrals from past customers, or what you're considering referrals as neighborhood referrals when you're out doing a build in that area. Any other thing that you're considering a referral is, and what you're shooting for there?
Well, it's a great question. Definitely that's the target. And I think it should be for all roofing companies. I think the branding is super important. So when they see our guys knocking on the door with our logo, they can identify. I've seen that before, like Apple. We've seen Apple product. I don't care if they do a car or a phone, whatever they want to do. I'm probably going to trust that they are going to be a good product, right? So that's why we're trying to do with a lot of our marketing, a lot of branding, have an emotion to it. But some of the things that we do in marketing to create leads that are referrals is like a BNI group. All our salesmen are in BNI groups. So that helps because it's always referrals. So anything, Chamber of Commerce, Home Builder Association are great too, but BNI, their target's really to help finding opportunities for others through trusted people.
Yeah. And do you focus on, I know like Hilton Head was opened with an insurance relationship. Do you also focus on trying to develop relationships with the insurance agents or realtors or things like that in the area also?
It's great. Yes, absolutely. So we do a lot of, adjusters are awesome. We never really fight them. We're trying to be their best friends. A lot of people I don't know, different place. I don't want to stereotype any place in the country, but a lot of adjusters are coming from different locations. When they come here, we can feel that they have a fighting spirit to them. And we're like, hey, we just want to help you. And we'll do the Xactimate for them, the picture report, the measurements of the roof will be already done. The SX files, we send that to them. So we really are helping. The servant mentality is key. It's not like I'm trying to get as much as I can. No, I'm going to do your work, man. Just show up and everything is ready. So that's sort of the process for the insurance.
So you're not just focused on providing that customer experience. You take that thought process or that feeling beyond that. Helping the adjuster, helping everyone. It's always being trying to be helpful in what you guys are doing. Is that what I'm hearing?
Yeah, and try to help everybody and get known as much as possible. Again, it's always a cost factor in marketing. I have an outside marketer that can go to HOAs, that can go to insurance company, ask him for lunch and learns, bring him gift bags, say, hey, would you be interested in learning more about roofing damage or what hail damage could cause to your roof or old age roof would look like? Not so much about, let me try to sell you a golden pledge warranty into, it's not really about that. It's about like educating your agents that pick up the phone about damage and what it could cause. Same thing with a restoration company. So it goes a long ways. Lunch and learns are very powerful because you have an opportunity to create a relationship with them. So
through education, right?
yeah,
Creating relationships through education. I think that's an important thing that people can do for sure, right? But take your knowledge and share that with people who need that knowledge, right? And in sharing that knowledge, they will hopefully come back to you when they need to do that work, right? But if you do it from that mindset of sharing and educating the community, that's awesome. One of the things that you talked about, like this, a lot of the systems that you put in place created a better company culture. Did you think that was going to happen when you put the systems and processes in place, or after time you stepped back and you went, wow, that changed our company culture and this is why?
Yeah, so I'm not really a good manager, perhaps, so the day to day, all the time, I didn't understand like goal settings because it didn't make any sense to me before, because I was like, well, do the best you can so we can grow this company as best we can. So I think it's common sense, but it's not. So that was a big challenge for sure. So we start, setting goals is important, but setting the mindset on one thing. So just like our company, we did framing, drywall, we did siding, windows, we did a little bit of everything. But what happens? We cannot become jack of all trades. You meet somebody that's got a business card that says all these things on their cards. You're not going to hire that person, right? You're a doctor. You want a foot doctor. You want specialists in what they do. So we started doing only roofing, and roofing is wide enough for commercial, residential, metal, tile, shingles, slates. Like it's almost too big as it is, and new construction, tear off. So we saw the same thing, and it's coming from a book called The One Thing by Keller. It's
Gary Keller, yeah.
Yes, I love this book, and he mentions this: that professional athletes are the best in the world. They're not. You can probably beat Tiger Woods at chess. You're not gonna beat him golf, but you want to beat him chess. They're not good at everything, but they're incredible at one thing. Yeah. So we're trying to focus we thought about this. How can we have a one mindset phrase or goal for the whole company that no matter what position you're in, will be giving you the energy or the mindset to do the right thing to advance the company forward. So for us, it's to help every customer get what they deserve, the best. So you deserve the best is our motto. And this is through customer acquisition. So you cannot have just customer service. Customer service is critical, but it's a little bit lower because if you don't have any customers, you cannot service them. So how can we get as many customers as possible by helping them doing the right thing? So if you're a salesman, of course, you get this, you got to sell the roof. You're one-to-one owner, you got to sell the roof. You owe it to the company, to your teammates, not a company, to the estimator, the marketing person that got the lead, or production. But how does this apply to like in production? Production, door knocking, let's find some leads so we can have more opportunities, because our goal is to increase the amount of people we can help. So when you do a final walkthrough at 6 o'clock and you're tired, it's 100 degrees outside in the summer here, you can go home or you can stay for another 30 minutes and do final walkthrough, pick up all the little trash that's on the ground. Do you think, is it going to make a difference to acquire more customers and do the right thing or not? When Jim across the street sees you pick up the trash at 6:30 and the house is flawless when you leave, are you more likely to get more jobs? If the answer is yes, do it. If it's not, don't do it. So it helped everybody look at one place. So when we have discussion, it's always going back to this. Well, is that going to help us help more people? If it's not, because everybody has their idea, right? So we don't have to have different minded idea. Everybody can always go back to that one thinking.
It's a great measurement. So you're using essentially your mission as a measurement tool, right? And so does this help us accomplish more of this? And if it doesn't, it's not what we do. So that's another thing in business that I think a lot of people overlook is in that, like whether you call it a core value or a mission statement, or you have your core values or a mission statement, things that can be measured against, right? For example, we operate on the EOS entrepreneurial operating system, and one of the main things there is a core value system. So you build, you create your core values, and then you measure it. When we did it, we did it a while ago, but now we get to measure our employees based on these core values. And it makes that decision of, is this the right person for us, right? Has that helped you in your in evaluating employees, not just should we do this type of marketing, or should we do this in our production process? Has that helped you in measuring your employees and in making employment decisions?
Yeah. Yes. In another book we read, it's Good to Great. Okay, they talk about the agile concept. So when we do the hiring, and that was a critical, pivotal point in a company a couple of years ago, is by hiring a person to do recruiting, we can be a lot more picky about who we're hiring. So instead of meeting 10 people, hiring one, we meet 100. It took 100. I did it myself at the beginning. I'm like, let me see. It cannot be that hard. I met 100 people to hire one inside sales in Wilmington, and she's phenomenal. But I'm like, we used the DISC assessment, I said, I need the perfect DISC. And so there's three things, right? So there's the skills of the person. So are they going to be capable of doing the work? They have the experience to do the work that will require them to. Like in sales, are they charismatic, let's say? Are they built for it? If you got to go on roofs, you got to be able to climb roofs. It's silly, but that's very important. You build for it. If you're going to be inside position, do you have the patience to be behind a computer all day or not? And the last thing is the cost, right? So it's not so much the affordability. Somebody wants $1 million a year. Yeah, it's going to be hard. But if, just like in sales, if the value perceived equals the value of the output, then it's fine. We'll pay you $1 million if your output is, you're going to bring 30 million to the company, let's say. So it's all relative. So those three things, you can achieve that through an interview. And the homeowners, by the way, when you trying to sell to them, present them, they evaluate you on the same criteria. So it was very powerful to start with this. Like, okay, and everybody says that, hire the right people, put in the right seat in the bus. I get that, but it's really easy and it's really hard to implement. So that was the first step. The second one, like you're mentioning, we do a lot more reviews, but reviews always go through the core. So it's the crown, it's the consistency, real, own it, winners win, and no excuses. So we go through this to identify how they're able to connect with our one thing to sell, to help homeowners get what they deserve. So one of the key indicators, I love KPIs, key performing indicators, but one of them for sales, instead of looking at sales, say, hey, I want you to sell 6 million. I want you to close 50 to 60% of your jobs. That changed the mindset, because you're not looking, because it's really depending on the territory sometimes, or you get one big job and, we compare salesmen on numbers. Focus on closing percentage, and the number is going to take care of itself. Don't worry about it. You're part of a team. Let's sell everything. So that's been really helping us a lot.
So you'd mentioned that KPI of changing the KPI from gross sales to closing percentage. What other KPIs have you put in your business that it surprised you, or that made a big difference in that regard, in a similar regard?
Okay, same thing with the percentage on the number of square installed by the installers, but we go not by the crew, but by the superintendent. So we used to do that with superintendent. Who's the best superintendent? Well, this guy produced 150 squares this week. He's the best. But now there's the guy that produced the most doesn't mean that he's the best one, because there could be problems on the job. So we went through and there's a couple of things here, but we do percentage based on the installation and the go back. So every week, everybody can see like, okay, this guy's got 4 go backs. If they finish it before the week's over, it doesn't count. But if it does, so it's -1 versus the square count. So it creates ratio across. So it's all ratio, not so much quantities, but you do both. It's quality and quantities you need to have. And same thing with a company. Like, we won't increase sales, but if you just focus on sales, you focus on numbers. We sell to homeowner not based on how much it's going to cost, $24,000 for your roof. We're based on the value we created. So the products we're going to install to get to $24,000. The number doesn't really matter, right? Yeah. value perceived is good, then it doesn't matter. So how we can increase sales is increase leads, referrals. So leads, referrals, and Google reviews. You mentioned that earlier. So there's the 9th of the month that's based on some criteria, and one of them is the lead generated by each. They get a point, and the Google reviews are like 5 points. You have deduction for if you're in a meeting, Jim, and you come in Monarch Roofing and say like, and you're late, you say, I'm so sorry, I'm late, my car broke down. That's an excuse. So you have minus point, even though it could be valid. We don't care. It's an excuse. So that makes it away from thinking numbers all the time. Do what's right all the time. I think it's a major switch for us that we did not know before. We were really thinking about numbers as far as overall, but more specifically.
Yeah, and that's interesting. In a point system, you're valuing things that you want to happen and devaluing things that, there's a negative value to things that you don't want to happen, right? And so it's more likely that your employees can understand that too. They can understand the expectation of what they need to be doing on an ongoing basis versus, close this much or build this much, right? Like, there's more detail to it. One of the things you'd mentioned there is 5 points for a review. As these points build up, do you give bonuses or things like that? Do you reward your employees for getting a number of points? How do you do that?
So as much as we can stay away from financial reward, which sounds crazy, right? I'd rather pay you more per hour than giving you cash. Because when I give you cash, the sale becomes, it's like salesman, okay? So imagine you're a salesman, you paid on commission. Jim, you did a great month this month, you crushed it. You get a big check the beginning of the next month. What happens to you? Because you focus on money. Now you're like, hey, I don't really care if I sell. Now I'm gonna take a week off, and then so now business owner or managers are like, I don't know why my salesmen are not motivated. They just don't go hard, don't keep it. And we have the same problem. I'm victim of that. So instead of doing this, motivation onto the sales become optional. With the machine, it's helping us to sell every single opportunity because that's the right thing to do for your community. So together, if they're in their salary now, so they're getting money paid for what they're doing. But the key is the sale doesn't become optional. The sale is not optional. You have to go meet this homeowner. So you have to find a solution for their problems. If there's no problem, there's no problem. It happens.
Yeah.
But if there's a problem, you need to be the guy that does the roof. Otherwise, it's a disservice for that person you're talking to. So when we hire, it's very important we hire salesmen that are not just talking sales, that they're passionate about helping homeowners. So the different mindset. Somebody says like, oh yeah, I can sell you $2-3 million, Martin. Don't worry, I'm the best salesman. That's not what we're looking for. Salesmen have a terrible reputation. They're used car salesmen, right? Nobody wants to talk to a salesman, but everybody wants to get help because they don't know about the roof. Just a little bit like you go to a mechanic. I've seen that, Jim, I wouldn't believe it, okay? So mechanics, how hard is it? You get your oil change, you come out, they said, hey, Jim, you need brakes, you need a new muffler, you need a new pipe for this. I don't understand what they're talking about. And it's almost like, I feel like it or not today to pay them more, right?
Yeah.
This company, and I heard this, I don't know who does this, but they do FaceTime, the mechanic, with the person that's waiting for the car to get fixed and shows them what's wrong on their cars. How great would that be, Jim? And look at the rust you got on your muffler. You need your muffler. Oh, bingo. Yeah, definitely. Now I'm doing it. So to provide the best quality service for a homeowner, why not take pictures while you're in the roof so they can really understand, right? Common sense. Do a video while you're on the roof. Do a FaceTime with a homeowner to show them all the problems while you're on the roof so they can see that's their roof and they need to get a new roofing system. So you really are helping. You're not trying to shove them a new roof when they don't need it.
Yeah. And that is the sales part of it, right? And getting rid of this. I like that you've gotten rid of, people don't like to be sold, for one thing, right? That what you're saying, like when you go to the auto mechanic, you go to get your oil changed and they tell you need brakes and tires and all kinds of things, right? And you're like, well, if I feel like it today, if you have a little extra money in the bank, you write the check and you get your brakes, right? Like, or whatever, right? But being able to show them the why behind, right? This is your actual problem and this is the actual solution to that. How have you solved Like there, and another thing that you mentioned, that there's always a there a lot of times there's a misalignment between the sales and the company. And I think that you have worked on that through not having a commission-based system. How else have you tried to keep your salesmen, your salespeople in line with the goals and expectations of the company?
So our salesmen are very involved with all the process, not like a hands-on process, but through the training, they spend time as a superintendent, so they can really understand the other jobs. So it makes them more self-aware. A lot of times, if a salesman, we made that mistake before. A salesman comes in, we're really desperate. There's a storm, sir. This is your tablet. I'm going to show you one time. This is how you sell it. Easy, right? Go. You're like, oh my gosh. So by taking the time to properly in the 2-week training, and properly train them through so they can understand the position. And graduate, they have to have goals. So if you say like, hey, go work with my superintendent and understand what they're doing. No. You're going to get judged in 2 weeks. When you do your final walkthrough with homeowner, I'm going to be there and see how you do it. Make sure you give the gift box to the homeowner. That's a good way to get referrals, by the way. You get a gift box.
Yeah.
And not just asking for referrals. Share with them the Google link. That's been a key, by the way. I'm giving you a secret there. But instead of saying like, I'm gonna send you a Google review, give us a review, I'm gonna email it to you. We used to do that, got zero. We made a video about it, how we can give us a review, how to do it, super simple. Now we do it with you. So I'll be, Jim, give me your phone number. I'm gonna send you the link. Hey, Jim, make sure the link works, because in the past, that link did not work a lot of times. So they click on it, now it's there. Well, let's start doing it. Can you give us a 5-star? Then they start writing. And we also read the reviews every morning when we have a new review. In the production sales meeting, we get to the person that got a review with their names on it, talks about it in front of everybody. So it's a little opportunity to be proud of, to make an impact. So it creates fulfillment, right? Everybody applauds when you get a review. So you're more likely to do it again. So again, it's not financial. If you do this, I pay you this. That's a short-term mindset.
I love that. But it is an incentive, right? And that recognition that they did a great job. People love that, right? People love that recognition. So, and I also love bringing it back to the process of, you're in front of the homeowner. You send the homeowner a link to the review. Hey, can you check that? Make sure it works. Oh, now that you have it open, let's work on this right now. Right?
You don't have to say much. It's right there. It's open.
And it's your opportunity to get that review written is so much greater when you're standing in front of them. As soon as you walk away and send that email, it's over. You lost. You'll get a very small percentage of those. But when you're standing there, hey, can you do that for me now? Can we work on this now? You would be amazed how many will, right?
A lot of owners, they will say, hey, thank you so much for the great work. You've been sweating for 3 days. That's awesome. Thank you so much. Hey, sir, the best way to thank us, I get judged on this at the office, is to get a Google review. Can I share with you a link real quick? Send a link. Then it's the best way to thank me. So it's they open the door for you for the Google reviews.
Yeah. And you guys have done a great job. I mean, 2 out of the 3 locations have over 300 reviews. You have, I think, about 100 on the 3rd location. And we're not talking about metropolitan areas the size of Dallas or,
Right.
These are small communities that you guys have 300 plus reviews in, right? So it's very telling that the effort that you put in and that you're really aligned with the mission of doing the best thing for your customers. What do you think is the greatest insight that you can share with our audience that has helped you find success in your roofing business?
There's a lot over the years, and I know a lot of roofing contractor will go through different things, but if we set the right mindset for, let's say, like for ownership, one of the biggest things is there's 3 things I think owners are responsible for, and that's including to have management team underneath. But as an owner, okay, so to create long-term decision, a lot of times when we started, we would buy trucks, Jim, that they had 150,000 miles and they didn't look that good, but they were cheap. So we would buy them and they would break down. It create more problem, going to the mechanic, spend money, but the time was a disaster. So that's something to really avoid. There's three things for owners. Okay, so the long-term decision. The second thing is customer obsession. I don't think you can be in business if you don't like to serve people. It should be really one thing. Number one thing should be, I want to serve people to get them what they deserve, the best. I don't see any other way to do it, to keep it going and really to keep growing and helping your employees becoming better. And the last thing is to be passionate about innovation. So we always improve. There's so many things that come out. Go to IRE, go to the events, implement new things. You cannot implement everything one time. It's going to take you a lot of time, great day, Saturday afternoon, nights. It's a good way to start implementing new things, but you have to be innovative to always grow. There's always somebody else that's working while you're not. They can't try to catch up on you. They're right behind you. And I don't want to be competing. I always say that we don't compete, we dominate. And it can sound negative if you let it, but it's not this. It's competing about yourself. Okay, if you start comparing yourself, others are the better. Do the best you can with those three things. You're going to be so far ahead of everybody else. Don't worry about now. Keep doing the right thing. Be innovative, obsessed with your customer, and long-term decisions.
Amazing, man. Thank you, Martin. This has been another episode of the Roofing Success Podcast. If you would like to generate more sales through your digital marketing efforts, please visit roofermarketers.com and get a copy of the book, Internet Marketing for Roofing Contractors, How to Triple Your Sales and Turn Your Roofing Website into an Online Lead Generation Machine. Also, check the training section of the website for guides on everything from running effective pay-per-click ads to how to properly set up your Google My Business listing. This has been another episode of the Roofing Success Podcast. Thanks for listening.